Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering how to write a cookbook and get it published. Cookbooks can be a lot of fun to work on, but there are some important elements to keep in mind. By the end of this video, you'll learn the importance of testing recipes and how to come up with a strong structure or theme for your book. And stay tuned until the end of the video for a free opportunity. Let's dive in. There's cookbooks about so many different food and drink recipes out there, and it's so cool to see the themes coming through. You know, it's so cool to see, you see unofficial Disney cookbooks or Star Wars or something else. There's so many different themes at play. My son actually took a book home from school recently from the library, and it was like gross recipes. It was pretty gross, actually, but it was interesting to see it. You know, there's Pokemon, that's another one that he likes looking at. There's so many different fun recipe books out there, and it's neat to be able to think about creating them. But there's things that you need to do to have the strongest book possible. It's not just about, cramming some recipes into a book and publishing it, but having more forethought and some really deep planning. So first things first, you really have to have a strong message or theme or through line for this recipe book. How do all the recipes connect together? What's the message? What's the thing that you're sharing? What does it mean to bring these recipes that you're sharing into other people's homes? How special is that? I've worked kind of off and on with a couple recipe book projects, and it's interesting to think about the potential for it. This could be something that gets passed down between generations. This could be something that different generations of families or friends end up cooking together. There's so many opportunities and just open spaces to have fun and explore. Once you have the theme figured out, and it could be something from your background, it could be something that you want to aspire to, it could be anything that your mind desires. Once you figure out what your theme is, you really need to come up with recipes to support that theme, and you need dozens and dozens of recipes. This isn't something just to slap together again. This is something that really carries forward. You have to think about it. What's it going to take to put together a full recipe book? You want this to have some heft to it, whether that's 50 or 100 recipes. And I'm sure that there's some that you'll trim down over time, but you want to have a lot to choose from. You want to have as deep a recipe book as possible to make this really resonate. Once you choose these recipes, you need to actually try them. You need to test these recipes, which is fun. It's fun to be able to taste all these things. If you're going to give people these recipes, you want to know that they're good. You want to know that they work. You want to know that they could have the same success you did. And that could be a matter of trying it in different kitchens, because different kitchens and different setups are going to have different kind of outcomes. Maybe one specific oven's going to work a little differently than another one. So there's things to keep in mind there, but you need to test the recipes. You can't just slap them together and publish them. You really need to test them. You need to make sure they work. You need to think about alternatives just in case. Just test. It's good to be able to test these things. You get to taste them. You need to try them out and make sure that the recipes are as strong as possible. The other thing that really comes forward in recipe books is the layout and the photography. With the typical book, it's just text most of the time. With a recipe book, you need photos. You need images that pop, that also send a message about the themes that you're trying to convey. If you have a country western type of cookbook, you want country and western themes and motifs throughout the book. So maybe it's going out and getting pictures of some of those things, coupled with images of the actual dishes that you're cooking in this cookbook, in this recipe book. So it's really important to be able to marry the layout and the photography with the recipes and make sure that this all comes together. You don't want, a really fun type of recipe book, brought down and weighed down by a boring design. If there's a disconnect on that, you're liable to lose the reader. They want to be engaged by it. They want to be drawn in by it. So you want to think about visuals. You want to think about making this as visually appealing as possible. With recipe books and other books, there's a couple different options for publishing. Traditional publishing goes through a publisher. You have to work on a book proposal and line up an agent and then line up a publisher. It's a long process. If you have a strong platform or you have a great message to share, that's an awesome option. The other option is to self-publish, where you would pay out of pocket for some of those costs of publishing the book. But at the same time, you can have a lot of power in self-publishing because you control every step of the process. So as you go through this journey, think about which choice is best for you. Think about which option is best for you. There's no wrong answer. And a lot of self-published books can be very successful. It's nice to have the traditional book publisher weight behind it, marketing force behind it, all those things behind it. But at the same time, if you have a good engine for marketing your book, if you have a good system in place, platform in place, you may choose to self-publish, and good for you. The last thing to keep in mind is to have fun. This kind of book should be so much fun to work on, to think about, to collaborate on. Don't lose sight of that. I think too often when we take on a project, we think of the work needed, the amount of work needed to make this happen, and we don't think enough about the awesomeness and the fun and the energy behind it. Keep the fun in mind, and keep smiling, and all of that energy is going to translate into the final product. If you want to learn more about how to write a cookbook and get it published, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to go to my website, goodghostwriter.com. You can click the link below and book a strategy call with me. I'd love to talk further about the kind of project that you're working on. Maybe there's some tips I can give you. Maybe I can help you in some way, but I'm interested in hearing more about your cookbook idea. I might be able to help connect you with some people to help you along your way as well. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.